information for the people, not like the infrastructure. This this is not alone. You can 3 person, no infrastructure, you can this. Like this is not alone.
What about just a flyer?
Yes,
we can do a flyer?
With flyer,
yeah.
Three person.
No more.
Three
3
person
with flyer.
Maximum.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. No infrastructure.
For that we don't need permission. Yes.
And you go this parking. You go to the parking.
You pay the parking and this is okay. This year you have permission from the government.
I don't know. We're just giving people information about the Earth being flat.
Okay.
We've discovered a few years ago that there's a formula for the curvature of the Earth. And that if it's a ball that we live on, it should be bending at 8 inches per mile squared.
Oh. Does it look like a little bit?
We know that water is always level. Over any distance that we can measure it, water is level. Ships need to float on a level sea, a flat sea. They're not going to go over a ball and come back up. We're told this when we're children, that gravity and so on will account for that mysterious force, of that mysterious action. But actually, when we have a bath, when we're a child, we know our ships need to be contained in that bath.
Okay.
So the Mediterranean Sea is a level body of water. We can see that. Our oceans, we believe, are level. They go up and down with the tidal flow, but other than that, it's all level. So on that basis alone, I would say you've got to question whether you live on a globe. Then we look into the science of how we prove we're spinning, and we can't. We can't demonstrate that we're spinning. It seems more likely the roof is moving above our heads.
Okay.
And then we go back to NASA, who've given us this evidence that we think of when we think of our globe, and we realize that NASA faked the moon landings. There's a documentary called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. That documentary alone should put enough questions in someone's mind to say, gee, they are hoaxing us.
That means you people to prove it.
Yeah, because they're trying to... obviously.
Titanic is wrong.
Sorry?
Titanic is wrong.
Titanic?
Yeah. Which one we watched the Titanic story,
Yeah.
As the Titanic, the ships goes to the underwater, then after that it's kind of what do we say? I don't know. What do we call that?
When it's sunk?
Yeah,
it's sunk, but it wasn't even the Titanic, was it? It was like a sister ship or something, or you know. It was, again, the world that we live in has been completely hoaxed. We don't really know the truth about who we are and what we are. But this is a beginning. It's to realize that our science has been co-opted. Our science is controlled, and they've gotten everybody to accept certain theories as the foundation for the Earth: gravity, relativity. If you don't believe these, then you'll never pass and become a professor of science. You have to accept these as the baseline. Well, we don't accept them as the baseline anymore because, as we say, water is level and gravity cannot be demonstrated as a force.
What is the difference? For example, there's some part of they don't have waters. There's for example, I'm from Tibet. We are very high.
Yes, in the mountains.
Then actually we have some small oceans, not a big. Yeah. So it means if can be unfortunately can be when something happened, which one we history 2012 does the wall is covered the water, for example. Is something like this becomes after 100 years something like happen like this? No,
I think something like this could happen. We think that there's been flooding. Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Cheers. We think that there's been flooding, and if you look around even here in Bern, there's buildings that seem to be 2 stories, 3 stories underneath the ground, underneath the road. And then that's like evidence all over the world. We see buildings like this that are covered with mud. So we think it's possible that there are repeated floods. And of course, if you live on a flat Earth, that kind of thing becomes far more feasible, that you get the water level shift. Either the land masses go down or the water level comes up or something like that occurs. So we consider that to be a possibility. And I look around in some of the buildings and they're not that old. Some of the buildings I think that have been affected by this, not that old. But looking at water in Tibet, the water in your lakes or your seas will be parallel with all other bodies of water in the mountains. All of them will step down parallel. The water will spill over.
For example, when we have like a swimming pool. when we do the swimming pools, then the swimming pool had a step by step the water come out. Yeah.
Yes.
Similar like that.
Exactly, and the water will only overflow from the one pool and then run to the next pool and it stops, and it runs to the next pool and it stops, always at the same level.
It means the edge is like this. Yeah?
So then eventually you get to the sea, still the same level, but just 2,000, 3,000 meters lower.
Yeah.
And there's only one sea level, because when they say Tibet is 4,000 meters above sea level, which sea level?
Okay.
Because there can only be one sea level measurement to say, everything's a few meters or 100 meters above sea level. Well, if Africa had its own sea level, then it'd be a very different height above sea level.
That means we are the more dangerous. We are the more deep, yeah?
More deep?
More deep in Tibet. For example, we are very high, yeah?
Yeah.
And the water level, when we talk about the water level, then it's like, what do we call the, which country we should say, that like, for example, the China's. China's are not high also for us. For example, when the Chinese people are coming to Tibet, they're coming to the train, and when they're in the Lhasa, in the capital, then the train drop, then they need the oxygen.
Yeah.
Otherwise they can't leave.
Yeah.
For example, and that means they're coming
from
like
that's right.
From the down.
That's right. From a thicker oxygen or thicker atmosphere.
Yeah.
But if you lived on a ball, then how would the atmosphere, that thick atmosphere, stay there and not rise to the very top of the ball?
Yeah.
And it makes no sense, you know, in reality. So there is a sea level. And then there's a mountain level, and that you could go to Africa, you go to South America, it's the same. Sea level, high mountains, you know, Machu Picchu or whatever. You know, it's the same, exactly the same height above sea level.
Wow.
So if you're 3,000 meters above sea level in South America, you're the same height as someone who's 3,000 meters above sea level in Tibet.
Okay.
It's just a flat plane, and that's how radio works. Radio waves propagate straight over this the Earth from one tower to another. You know, so it's
this is one kind of the very great information for this new generations here.
Yeah,
it's great
to free us, free the new generation. Absolutely, absolutely. And young people are quite a lot of them are quite up for this information. So
do people do the round all the world or something?
Well, at the moment it's just Europe, but hopefully in time we will do it around the world, across the world.
Yeah, great. This is really good. The new generations, for the new generations,
it frees the soul, actually. Once you realize that you're not from evolution and you're not from Big Bang and all this stuff, that this world was created for you and stuff, it frees your soul. It liberates the mind and the heart and the soul. And I think that young people need to do this, because we're getting a more crazy world, more wars, more greed, more all of this type of stuff that causes us problems, breaks the system. So we need to get back to nature and discover the truth about who we are.
Okay, thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you. What's your name?
My name is Lekshe Gyatso Kongma.
All right.
This is actually here we call Lex Kongma.
Lex Kongma.
Yeah, the nice Kongma is my family name.
All right. Are you going back home to Tibet soon, or?
Not possible. Yeah.
You live here now?
I live here.
Okay.
Yeah. I live here. Then I do the presenting some Himalayan products here. Okay.
Oh, well, good luck with your life, my brother.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right. As you can see, we were chased off the patch. Oh, you've come back.
I would say actually more than anything.
Come back.
They are scarce. You will just see that they are round, like a moon. We have a telescope. We can. What? Yeah, I watch from telescope. Yeah.
Do you know telescopes today often have? But telescopes today have a software program running in them, hey, and that helps to render the image, and it makes it look more like a ball.
Please don't film me.
All right. It makes it look more like a ball. The sun looks like a disc to me. It looks like a disc, yeah. To me, I sun gaze in the morning, early in the morning, and it's just a round disc. There's no ball. There's no sphericity to it. But let's come back to
around
flat
Earth.
No. Yeah, it's local and it's over your head. It's just going over your head. It's like a light. That's a light. Perhaps, yes. That's the most popular theory. But it is a theory, and exactly how it works, we don't. Yeah, exactly how it works, we don't know. But the theory that water can form into a ball, very much a big theory. So to hang your belief in a globe on the idea that water is going to curve eventually on the surface is, I tell you what, a big theory.
How do we know how gets this flat Earth don't fall apart? Because space objects forms around, because that's the natural way gravity works.
Yeah. Have you got personal experience of that, or is that something you've learned in a book?
What do you mean by that?
Well, because we don't actually, what you just cited to me, what you just said to me is stuff that we get taught, but not stuff that we can practically demonstrate. So what I can practically demonstrate, let me finish. Let me say that when you find water, when you measure water practically, you find that water is always level. But the idea that things in space are going to start pulling stuff together, that's a theory. And that's something you've learned out of a book. So you can't show me that. I prefer science that I can demonstrate. Like we can practically demonstrate how a flat Earth works, but we can't show
quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics is we can't.
Yeah.
Because
so
again, this is like a theoretical. But this is a theoretical world that we're meant to believe in. But you and I have to trust machines to tell us the answer.
The rise of sea level?
Yeah.
Because sea level rises of the moon's gravitation. Or
okay. All right. That's one possibility.
And again, please don't film me.
Sorry. That's one possibility.
I can't. There's a really nice logo.
I can't turn this camera around because it's not a live stream. I have to turn the whole thing around. You were asking me about the tides. Okay, if the moon was causing the tides, then the moon's gravity was causing the tides, then common sense suggests that the biggest tides would be near the equator. Yeah, because that's where the biggest pull should be, at the equator, and the least amount should be at the North Pole and the South Pole. But actually in Northern Hemisphere we get some of the biggest tides in the world. So no, there are other explanations for the tides, but the tide on itself, the up and down of the water, is never going to make it go round. Don't lose the fact that it's never going to go round.
What do you mean by that, go round?
Well, the water, people say, oh, you are meniscus. You got to make a whole, you got to make a big ball of water, you see. And big balls of water don't hold themselves together. They always fall down. That's not a big ball. That's why I said big ball. And even a raindrop is only briefly falling with surface tension through the air. And once it hits the ground, flat. Flat. And when they gather lots of water and it overfills the pool that it's landed in, it will run down the hill to the next pool it finds. And it will pool there until it overflows till the next pool. And then when it gets to the end...
Where goes the water to?
To the sea. Eventually it all goes from here at the high down to the low.
And where's the low thing?
The low is the sea. Well, now this is where you got to remember, if you live on a ball, the lowest point has to be in Antarctica. You know, that's where all the water should run to.
No, that doesn't
in
make
the middle of the Earth.
On Earth there is no up or down.
Yeah, that's the magic, isn't it?
I mean,
in reality, there's only an up and down. In reality, there's only an up and down.
If we believe the theory of gravitation, every place on Earth can be considered up or down.
Okay, so you use the words believe and theory. Theory is like theology, and believe belies the lie within. The truth is that a belief is like a religion. Don't believe in things. I'm asking you to stop your belief and say, hey, you know what can I test for myself?
Okay,
what can I test for myself? Can you test?
I see.
Tilt up, tilt up.
You hold it a second.
I know, I've got to be inside. Just tilt up.
Yeah.
Don't film us. Thank you.
No, I don't want to film you. I want to film me.
When you're on the sea, and you see a boat, and the boat is really far away.
Okay.
So when we see the Earth, it's round. You don't think so, and it's round. Then the boat slowly comes up, and when I stand here, first I can't see the boat. But then slowly, I see the boat. And that's what the Greeks said. And the Greeks were first, the 3,000 years ago. So
what if I could tell you that that's easily debunked? That's easily misproven, right? When the ship goes out of your view and goes away or down, as you think, pick up a powerful camera and try and zoom in on it. If it's gone over the ball, you shouldn't be able to zoom in it, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, we can zoom in on it and we can watch it for another hour.
I absolutely believe that.
Okay. No, don't believe it. I'm asking you to do this test for yourself. This is an experiment I could say.
Yeah,
I
go to the. Yeah.
Now, you know what else you can do is that when the ship's left you, let me finish.
What he said.
Let me take this on.
I should test it for myself. Go to the sea.
Please.
That absolutely
let him speak.
Why not? You won't trust your own senses?
No, because I don't want to go to the sea and spend my time thinking the Earth.
Okay, but then, well, you want to surely, if you want to prove that you live on a ball, this would prove it. right, is that if that ship's gone away over the horizon, as you say, then you should not be able to resolve it with a camera.
You can't see it.
I have a final question, maybe.
Well, I wanted to, before your final question, hold your final question, and let me ask you this, or let me tell you this, that when the ship has gone away for an hour, and I can't see it with my camera anymore, and I jump into an aeroplane, I can see the ship again, and it looks like it's still on a lake, on a level body of water.
Yeah.
Why is that?
How round the Earth is extremely wide. It's not just like the Earth is over there, it's 1 meter lower than here. It's extremely big.
Okay, but a minute ago you said the ship had gone over the horizon that you could see. Yeah. So it's like a 20-meter ship. It's gone over the horizon. Now when I get up higher, you're saying that I can't see any curvature, even though you could see it down at the bottom?
When you're going a lot up,
if you lived on a ball, so you would see more curvature the higher you went.
When you go really
that's a fact. If you lived on a ball, the higher you went, the more you would
go up there and
again, this is not something that I can test for myself, but we have taken, well, friends of mine have taken a high altitude balloon, weather balloon, put a camera on it. Many people have done
enough.
Okay, well, let me finish, if I may. You won't learn anything if you don't listen. You won't learn anything.
Question,
we've taken cameras to 120,000 feet, and it still looks level from up there. So, your question.
Well, if according to your theory, most of science in Newton's gravitational law would be wrong.
Yeah.
Why would
like all religions, they're all wrong, right?
Why would someone make such a big conspiracy and make such fake science? Why?
To fuck with your mind.
Yeah, but
really, and to own your soul. This is what I think it actually comes down to. At the end of the day, it's about owning our souls. This is what the system has done. That's what religion is for, is to stop people from ever discovering their true divinity. And this is what the science of monkey man coming out of evolution, Darwinian science, all this stuff.
So
I used to believe
in Darwin?
No, I used to. I used to revere Darwin, actually, just till 4 or 5 years ago. And then I found out that all of these things that have been put, the science that's been offered to us, is all theoretical. It's all based on half science. You know, with dinosaurs, for example, there's no one single dinosaur skeleton in existence. Not one complete dinosaur skeleton in existence. That's the fact. So all of Darwin, yes, I'm sorry to say, is built to give you the idea that you come from monkeys, that you are merely an evolutionary lucky strike, that you are grateful to be here, rather than the other, which is that this is a flat world, a plane of existence that we're all.
It's not you. It's not you.
That we're all living in, and the first base point is realizing that you live on a stable Earth that's not moving. It's a controlled environment. The atmosphere is controlled. The cleanliness of the water is somehow controlled, and that's designed for us to live. It's designed for us to have a beautiful experience in. But they want us to kind of fight each other. Choose teams, pick teams, and go man against man, whether it be in war, in football, in banking. It doesn't really matter. What they want you to do is to compete, rather than come together as a common
and limit
nature
us,
and learn to love.
Yeah, limit us.
They never want that for us. So it's more than the science. It's actually more than all of this that you see around you. It's about the soul that you carry, that you bring to this place. And that soul, I was an atheist, man. My dying mother wouldn't get me to accept there was God just 5 years ago. No way. But when I took all of this, atheist? No, I didn't believe in God or anything like that. And then I had a ayahuasca. Have you heard of ayahuasca?
Yes.
DMT, the spirit molecule, right? So I had an experience that changed that. In 5 minutes, I went from an atheist to a believer. And I'm 51 now. So I spent most of my life going, no God, no God, no God. Now, then I found that the Earth is flat, and I realized, fuck, the entirety of this system has been designed to control my mind from birth to death. And what I'm offering here is information that when you start to unpick it, you go, shit, my science doesn't stack up anymore, and it's become like a religion. I used to believe in gravity, relativity, all of this stuff, special relativity, quantum mechanics. I loved all of this, string theory. These things were exciting to my mind. And then I realized, shit, this is all theory. And theory sounds like theology. It sounds like a belief system to me now. If I can't prove it for myself, I'll say it's a theory and say this is my idea about how it works. But I'm not going to tell you this is my idea about how these things work. But I can prove to you that water is level. And we cannot prove that we're moving. We cannot prove that this Earth is moving. They say 700 miles an hour right here. And there's no forces here that will show us that we're moving 700 miles an hour. They say that we know that thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, demands that if you want to have a no pressure and a high pressure system side by side, must be in a container. Must be in a gas canister, a deodorant can, whatever. You've got to keep them contained. Pierce it, equalization. How can our atmosphere sit alongside a vast and dangerous non-atmosphere or what do they call it, outer space? How can that be? And did I say to you earlier, they've never put a man in a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber on Earth. They've never tested their own kit on Earth. Same with the moon lander. They never got the moon lander to fly on Earth. Don't worry, it'll work when we get to the moon because there's less gravity. That's what it is. Bullshit. Don't worry, my spacesuit will work when I get into a vacuum, even though you've never tested it.
NASA got a vacuum chamber, so
Yes.
a very big one.
Yes, but have they put a man in it? No.
That I don't know.
No. Have they put a man in? I mean, a man would die, but a man in a spacesuit should be easy. Should be easy. If they can do it out in the vacuum of outer space, put 10 men in there in spacesuits and let them have a party.
The guy's
Prove that.
he's talking
you can't
to
show
because he
any of
doesn't
the
want to
stuff.
be
And
filmed.
in fact, the spacesuit,
he's-
when they do the diving, when they do the
facial
training in the training
expressions are
pool in Dallas,
that he's intrigued.
Texas,
He's intrigued.
training pool,
He's
spacesuit
questioning.
is exactly the same at 3 bar of pressure at 30
What
meters
he's
in the
hearing.
pool as it is in 0 minus bar of pressure in a vacuum. It looks exactly the same, but one should be sucking, the other should be pushing.
No, that's the system.
And you know what? 2 years ago they announced that an astronaut nearly died today on a spacewalk when his helmet filled up with water. You know, and then we see, when we look at footage closely, people who spend their time analyzing the spacewalks, they find sometimes a bubble going away from the helmet. They find sometimes, on 2 occasions, a reflection of a scuba diver while they're doing the spacewalk in the helmet, in the visor. You answer these questions
when
for yourself.
When you want to find something, you find it.
And if you don't
so
want
when
to,
you want to find something that's wrong, you find it.
yeah.
So
well,
that's what you were doing.
Yeah, but when you
It's critical thinking
yeah.
rather than just accepting what you're
yeah.
seeing.
And when you go
Yeah,
to a child, when you're a child,
overthought this,
when
but
you're a child, when you're a child
when
and you go to a magic trick, you don't think to, oh, let me see how he's doing the trick. You just want to believe the trick is real. Cut someone in half or done something crazy, right? So that's what you believe. But when you're older and you see how the trick is done, you want to say to people, hey, this is how they do it. They're not really cutting someone in half. It's all
Anyway,
magic, my friends. It's
We
all
have to
magic.
move on, get this van off this
Good luck.
area.
Have a good life.
Yeah,
Good luck.
yeah.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye.
All right, well, we'll call it quits from Bern, I think.
Well, we're going to move somewhere else just
Do some
briefly,
flying.
maybe do some flying. But
Alrighty.
we've had a good little go here, and
Yeah, good song.
yeah, look at that building in the background.
Built by simple people with simple tools.
And yeah, you can see the van, and we're now going to move. Go.
Thank you.